All right. All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good freaking evening, wherever you are in the world. My name is Bison, aka Bison Trades, over on Twitter. Welcome back to another episode of RareFUD. We are pumping on the news that XRP isn't a security. We can kind of be, I think people are jumping to the conclusions that if XRP isn't a security, then we might be in the clear for just about everything, because XRP might have been the clearest case to maybe be a security. There's some complications with it, though. We'll try to break it down as much as possible. We're smooth brain over here, so I wouldn't, dive into our legal analysis of anything, but do have some thoughts as far as that ruling goes. Nonetheless, the market has responded beautifully. The dollar is completely capitulating, and therefore assets are going nuclear, especially ones that were held down by the security ruling by the SEC, such as Solana, such as Matic, and everything else in between. Well, we got a lot to talk about today. We'll talk about what's happening in the market, what's going to happen with your NFT bags, what's going to happen with DeFi. We'll break it all down. But before we do, we have to bring up my brother in content, my wonderful co-host, Mr. Door. Door, how we living?
Yo, dog, every day's a holiday and your boy's feeling like Christmas over here, man. It's nice to see a $25 plus SOL again, dog. Oh, man, we were here. I think were we doing RareFUD on the drop from 100 to 30? Because I know damn sure we were on here talking about the drop from 30 to 8. And, man, that was a rough time. So it's great to be back around that range again, man, especially seeing your boy has a ton of SOL since then.
Yeah, we definitely were. We've been building in a bear for I don't know how long now. We were born in the bear. This is nothing to us. So just seeing any sort of rebound and reaction from its lows, you just love to see it. It's good for the bags. And, while your NFT bags might be bleeding right now, if you are involved with a bunch of good projects, I think you're going to be all right. We'll talk about that for sure during this show. But before we do, we got to bring up our other wonderful co-host, rapping a chimp again. You'll love to see it, JoeSol. Joe, how we living?
Oh, we're living good, man. Living well. Got no complaints on this side, man. We're seeing a nice little pump in the market. Gotta love it.
Absolutely, dude. Absolutely. And Joe was calling it too. I mean,
Yep.
Joe was literally telling you, I'm buying any dip. He said it 15 hours ago. You got the receipts. If you aren't following Joe on Twitter, you need to be. The man literally doesn't miss. He finally decided, yeah, I'm going to look into liquid staking at the perfect time, right before a good pump. This is as good of timing as you can ever ask for. The man's crystal ball has never been clearer. And
he's never wrong, man. Like, I swear, like, you shouldn't copy trade anybody, but copy trading Joe is kind of like a safe bet. I ain't gonna sit here and lie, man. Joe puts lines on a chart and it happens, dude. It's very rare that I see Joe being wrong.
yeah, and it does.
I am wrong. I'm wrong sometimes, but I appreciate you guys very much. For real.
You're right more than you're wrong, and that's
right way more than he's wrong.
So that's what we love to see. But guys, got plenty to talk about. Before we do, probably need to head over to Soul Sniper, and oh, there it is. I'm starting to see some listings pop up for the heist. You knew it was coming. People are buying a little bit of the dip though, so that's good. Go over to the market overview for Sniper. We do have some grim news to talk about. We'll just get it out of the way now. We'll rip it off like a band-aid. We'll talk about NFTs. While Sol is sitting at $26 right now, you love to see it.
Love it.
Buyers of Sol NFTs down to 2,768. I think that might be one of its lowest level ever. I think so. I'm just looking back at the charts. It's grim right now. I think a lot of people are, it happens every time. You see Sol pump, people want to sell their bags to get into Sol, liquid Sol. This is something we've been talking about for the longest time. So, if you listen to RareFUD, we've been telling you to do as such. I do think that there's better days ahead. I still have positions in NFTs that I wasn't able to get out in time. I don't think I'm going to sell right here. Like, I still got in at a pretty good USD value, and trying to go back and forth, it was just not worth it as much as I think it would have been just to, sit by, and I'm not going to sweat about it. Right. So, at the same time, you do have to be concerned about this. I mean, there's not a whole lot of volume in the market. If we go over to TXO, less than 50K Solana volume, just shy. We've seen worse on that front, but I think it's going to get a little bit more ugly. Tents are sitting at 43.88% market share. Magic Eden at 42.9. Neck and neck as always. Hades swap down to 6.59. Only 3.29K Solana volume over there. It's pretty much a barometer. If you see swap back in that 10 to 15K Solana volume, that's when we're good. If it's not, that's usually when we're bad. Exchange art, still down bad. It's 375 Solana volume. Solana art still hanging in there, but coming off of it. Guys, how do we feel about the NFT marketplace before we start cheering for Solana in general? Let's go Door and then Joe.
Yeah, dog. It's bloody out there, dog. It's terrible. I wouldn't be touching anything right now. Like, it is bad. We've been talking about this for weeks. We've been talking about this all the time. Whenever there's volatility in the underlying asset of NFTs, which in our case is Sol right now, we're going to see those floor price drop drastically. The NFTs do best when Sol is crabbing. Sol doesn't look like he's crabbing right now. We will get back to that crab stage, and NFTs will rebound. But right now, everybody's just flooring everything, trying to gain access to Sol. In my opinion, the best thing to do right now is try to find those plays that are going to pop off whenever Sol does start crabbing again. Honestly, right now, I'm still looking for those. But also right now, and I'm sure we're getting this later too, I've just been heisting, man. Heist is just holding up insanely well, even with the price of Sol pumping. Nana's doing great, but we can talk more about the heist later because I'll go on a heist rant all day, dog.
Yeah. I mean, heist is definitely nice. Nana just had a nice retrace though, because somebody dropped 686,000 Nana into the liquidity pool. So it happens. Yeah, that's nothing. I'm sure it'll be fine. Yep. But we haven't even really dropped our catalyst yet of the DAO pool, which is coming. So that's always nice to see. But Joe, how are we feeling about NFTs right now? Are we looking to you're probably like me, where I'm not looking to buy anything right now, but I'm kind of scoping. I'm scoping right now.
So I'm off the NFT train. And be honest with you guys, I'm holding the heist and an OMB. I'm looking to just get full into Solana DeFi. I could care less about trying to compound Sol on NFTs. I just don't think it's there. It's there when the narrative's there to compound real money and make it back. But with us pumping, everyone's real money's going to stay on the sideline until a decision point is made. There might be some outliers that you can catch B because you're on it, right? But for most part, for me, like kind of stepping away, I'm going to play the Solana DeFi right now, and I'm going to make my APY and my monthly Sol that way, because I have enough now to where I think as long as I maintain it, don't lose any, and I compound it into the bull, I'll be fine, even if I don't make crazy swings on my Sol. So it's kind of weird hearing me say that because I'm normally high like DGen, but I'm kind of shifting into the passive as we're coming, and making a real swing here, trying to compound a safe way. So yeah, I'm not really looking at NFTs right now, to be honest.
Dog, I
Yeah.
think that's the move. I think it's important to be flexible in this market and go where you have not only like opportunity to make liquidity, but also make liquidity in a safe manner. Right now, NFTs ain't it. So you trying to gamble on that or trying to play that is essentially gambling. Like, I'm not touching NFTs either. Don't get me wrong. I don't think you're exiting the market completely, but I'm also not like fully focused on NFTs right now because nothing's going on the Solana side.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely going to be some projects that, you'll see some relative strength to. I don't have any desire to go into any right now. I do see Manny over in the chat saying Necro kind of knock off Sol Casino, which I can definitely see Sol Casino and Necro and some of the gambling plays doing pretty well on that front, or at least holding their ground a little bit better than most of the market. But yeah, why do I really think they're going to hit multiples? Probably not. And I do side with Joe. Like, my eyes are solely on Sol DeFi. I think Sol DeFi has the most potential out of really all the markets I'm scouting right now. There's definitely some other chains. Arbitrum might be a good one. Maybe some other L2s over on ETH, as well as like Cosmos is another one that I am exploring. I think there may be some validity over there, but Sol DeFi to me just means why wouldn't you? And we've been talking about this. We've been talking about this for a while now with liquid staking. I think this is just the clearest play in Sol right now. It's just to have exposure to the upside of Sol because it's coming. You knew it was coming. I didn't think it was going to come this soon, this fast, this violently. But when you get news of XRP not being deemed a security, that tends to send the market in a violent reaction. Let's talk about that real quick before we jump into some of the Sol DeFi stuff, some of the NFTs, and what we're looking at on the overview side. But XRP was reportedly deemed by the DOJ not a security. I have heard conflicting reports, and I shout out AD for coming into No Fluff today and basically talking about how XRP itself not a security, but the institutional buys of XRP, that was a security. And that, I think that opens up some interesting points, because if that's the case, we might be jumping the gun just a little bit, because what that means is Solana, when they did their initial offering, that could have been a security event, right? Sol itself isn't a security, but selling it like it is a security, that is a security, So I think there's some, again, I'm not a legal person. I have some sort of insight into like patent litigation and stuff like that, but securities law, I would say my knowledge of it is like maybe close to intermediate, but probably still on the beginner side, just running everything through the Howey test and whatnot. I don't know what this looks like. I think we might be jumping the gun a little bit too soon. I'm hoping it gets us to 27, and that's our new plateau. Been saying this for a while. If we break 27 and hold that, I'm much more bullish than I was over the past 8 months, really.
Yeah.
Basically since the FTX swan. But I don't know. I do think this is good news. I think it's good for the underlying asset, and I think it might be poor for the only thing I'm really worried about is does the Solana Foundation get into trouble? The people who sold Solana to these VCs or anything like that. Does that open up some legal implications over there? And if so, then our central entity that develops a lot of Solana tech, and I also have my qualms with them not opening up that development to other places. I mean, Jump's one of them that does get allowed into Solana Labs and everything like that, but we don't have nearly as many like third parties as Ethereum does. And I think that's always been my one knock on Solana, that and the tokenomics. But guys, what are we thinking with this ruling and how it impacts the market? Let's go with Joe first and then Door.
That what impacts the market be? Mine broke up for the beginning of the question.
The XRP not being deemed a security.
Oh yeah. So the initial pop for sure. There, the micro, as in the short term pop that we saw, is obvious, right? That coiled suppression. Everyone's been waiting to buy it. Some people have been stacking up. There's just a simple short squeeze that happened there. But it's going to be interesting now to see if some of these alts and BTC within general, the speculation on the market, if we drive past some of these key support levels, we can actually start to see more buyers come in than sellers simply, right? People that have been stacking low don't see a reason to sell now. And some people that have been more risk averse are seeing, okay, if there's a certain level, I'm buying here. So we're kind of having that conjunction of like more buyers than sellers. I do believe that. And if it holds up and nothing comes out FUD-wise with a precedent that's being set for this case, I think we have a good cog to the machine here, just like we've seen Hong Kong invest, right? We said that might be the first spoke in the wheel, right? And that's how bull markets start. You start seeing these small little increments throughout, and this might just be one of those that get the ball rolling. So I'm optimistic about the outcome of the XRP case for the general market.
I think so too. I think I'm kind of in the same boat where I think this is good news. I think so. I think it might be less good news than people are anticipating, but I think it's still overall really good news for the market. How do we feel, Dor? What are we feeling about this?
Yo, you know your boy here ain't a lawyer. He ain't a security or exchange lawyer. He ain't a macroeconomic economist. I don't know. Your guys' takes were spot on. Seems bullish to me. Numbers going up. I'm happy.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the boat where Expresso said it well. You know, it's probably just a fine of a few million or something, and they'll just be like,
Easy
I'll shake
clap.
that off. And we'll get on with it because they're not doing any more offerings on the centralized sort of way, like where there's no more VCs coming into Solana. You just buy it on the open market. We already did our launch, right? And so I guess that raises the question, like maybe that's a good thing for existing crypto because it kind of gatekeeps and puts a barrier to entry in for new layer ones, layer twos, anything of the sort to do offerings. And like you can't, until you actually get the money and watch your asset run up and then you actually have the treasury, you can't really afford the few million right out the gate. But if you're already established, it's like, oh, that's a slap on the wrist, especially with something like Solana being of that market cap. So interesting points. I do think, look, long term, this is good. This is good. We're starting to get some clarity as far as regulation goes, and I think that's the most important part of this. Is SEC was overstepping clearly. I wish they did a case on. Again, I don't even think it's tinfoil hat at this point. They came in and said, "Yeah, these are all securities or whatever." Then launched their own centralized exchange with all these like massive financial institutions. And you're telling me that there wasn't any correlation there? That's BS, bro. I'm telling you right now, there is something fishy over there. I don't like it.
I'm like, and I hate when people like say tinfoil hat, because you and Joe throw out good takes about how big money moves all the time. It's not tinfoil hat. It's just being realistic and understanding how these entities operate. Do you think legislators are not talking to people at BlackRock and Fidelity? Of course they are. Like, come on. Like, we're on a minor scale. People talk within NFT communities to each other. Alpha flows around. On that type of scale in this nascent market, why do you think that this well-established machine, people wouldn't be talking to each other?
Yeah, 100% could not agree more. I'm curious to see how it all plays out, but I think this long-term, we've been talking about this, right? Solana DeFi is the way to go. Liquid staking was the way to go. Get your liquid up. And it's planned out. I mean, to a T. Joe was, kind of messaging us in our private, RareFUD chat where we just all three of us talk and was, asking a bunch of questions. Man, literally, I don't know why he asks questions. He finds answers in like 2 seconds flat and usually finds the best ones. Went into Super Stake by Drift and got his marinade or JoeSol. I'm not sure what you use, Joe, as far as your liquid staking goes, but you took those and basically used the super stake by Drift and are compounding gains right there. I mean, you're just compounding yield with the liquid staking, which liquid staking is incredibly good. We don't use it enough in Solana. It's something I heard back on, and shout out on Layered, probably my favorite podcast when it comes to Solana. But it's good because you're able to get that locked soul and use it to heal most of the other DeFi. So you're able to use it as pools. You can go into Camino.finance, probably the easiest route to go. You can go into Orca or Radium or any of these other DeFi protocols as well. But basically, you lock that soul up, you get MSOL or JoeSol or whatever soul back, whatever staking platform you use, you get that back, and then you can actually use that to add liquidity to some of these pools and then collect the fees on it. So you're making APY there as well. It's super interesting. I love it. And now that super staking is there with Drift protocol, you're able to lever up a little bit more on that underlying asset as well. A little more risky. So I don't, like play at your own risk, but I just think this is the way to go for the foreseeable future until we stop absolutely melting faces,
And
Joe,
with
what's your take been on this?
Yeah, that you said it beautifully, and I think what made me turn the corner was because I've always sat on Solana that I've liked to just build up as a spot position, basically, right? Moving out of NFTs when they're overvalued and Solana was still undervalued, and I just was slowly doing that. And I had some entries under 15, but I just kept my soul around because I was like, oh, the APY isn't worth the worry of me trying to stake it and delegate it and all this other stuff. But then in my head, I go, dude, are you really going to want to sell this until literally probably triple digits or maybe 50, 40 bucks? And then I realized with inflation of Solana, you're diluting yourself by holding that Solana just native, like without doing anything to it, right? You're literally diluting what you have. So you're literally you're hedging yourself against the natural inflation of the Solana token, and you're giving yourself an APY, especially being able to lever up MSOL, JoeSol, BSOL, any of these products, and especially with Blaze Stake, right? BSOL right now, and airdrops coming Q4. So that's an airdrop right on Solana that you can get access to by literally doing nothing but staking and holding BSOL, getting 6 to 7%. You don't have to do anything more. If you want to get a couple more percent, you go get BSOL and pair it with a USDC or something like that, like B was saying, right? And I know MarginFi, you can go lend and borrow BSOL on there, and they have a drop coming. Like, so there's all these areas to accrue points and possible airdrops, but also just at the simplest form, if you want to liquid stake, you're just able to have your soul in your wallet. You can still see it pegged to the price. It makes you feel better. And you can go swap that on Jupiter if you wanted to at any time, right? You don't have to unstake it from said validator, right? You can just go swap it if you want. Look for fees and such, of course, but it is a liquid way for you to have control. It's like a non-custodial NFT, right? Like you still have control of it no matter if it's securing for you or not. So yeah, I like it. I'm embarrassed, B. You've been talking about it forever, and I never knew. So I went OCD yesterday in it, dude, and asked every smart person I knew their best idea, and then derived my own from that.
B, I can't hear you at least.
Yep. No, I'm good. Thank you so much. Yeah, no, I think that's a really good take. And unfortunately, a lot of people, we're just so tied up in JPEGs because that's what Solana's always been for the most part. Outside of, our initial run up to 260, where there was kind of a little DeFi summer. We definitely had Invictus and everything like that. But now we have more sound protocols coming in. We do have Radium. We do have, Orca, some of the OGs and established players in the game. But we also have, MSOL, BSOL, JSOL, or JoeSol. There's just a lot of products out there that I don't think enough people are taking advantage of. So, look, if that's where we have to focus our time on RareFUD, because the NFT market is going to bleed. It will bleed. If we keep seeing volatility like this, said it for the longest time, when you take a bet on NFTs, you're taking a bet that SOL is going to be more stable. It might go up just a little bit, might go down a little bit, might stay flat. When you are not taking a position, or when you're betting against that, you're betting that there is going to be volatility. And so if you're taking a position in volatility times, you're going to get burned 9 times out of 10. Like if it goes down, you're screwed. If it goes up, you're screwed. If it stays flat, that's when you're actually making the massive gains. And you can kind of look back on a historical chart, looking at market cap and everything like that for NFTs, and you can see that it pans out almost every single time. On the flip side, if you want to leverage bet on volatility, especially to the upside, you take a position in tokens. And this is what, I think a lot of people don't realize because we've just been so involved and so absorbed into NFTs. It's a completely counter a relative point to NFTs. When you're doing tokens, you're basically saying, I think Sol's going up, so I'm going to buy some SPLs that have really good sound fundamentals, right? Therefore, and you can see, I mean, Nana's a really good example.
Yeah, dog. Nana's like probably the best example, man.
Yeah. I would say, honestly, the safest example to me right now is probably going to be like Orca or Radium, just because they are DeFi protocols on Solana. And if people go into DeFi, they're going to need those. But Nana's a really good example of kind of hedging our bets, because Nana's running up. There's clear catalyst for it. Tokens usually run in tandem with Sol. And Nana's outperformed over the past 3.5 days what Sol has, and it's moved very correlated to Sol. So if you want to take a bet, this is why I always say portfolio construction is so key to like actually making gains. Is don't just go all in on NFTs. Don't just go all in on liquid Sol. Have some sort of apportionment where you're saying, okay, I want to remain 40% liquid on my Sol. I want to remain 30% in NFTs and 30% in DeFi, whether that is, liquid staking, whether that is just buying some SPLs like Orca or Radium, or going into Camino vaults and just, farming yield with your liquid stake, whatever that looks like for you. That's probably a good portfolio construction. And NFA, DYOR, we have to give that disclaimer every time we say something like that. But if I were to start over, have all that, that's probably going to be what my portfolio looks like. I am more exposed to NFTs than I want to be right now. And again, this is more so I wasn't able to liquidate in time, but that's another key point. When you see volatility, you're not able to liquidate at the prices you want in time. And so the listings that didn't hit or they didn't get sold, I was out of luck and that's okay. I'll just hold on to those bags until we find our next price point that I think are going to be fine. So, I think that's kind of the point I just want to make is, look, Solana DeFi is going to be the way to go right now. And I don't think there's anybody who's going to argue that NFTs are going to bleed until we start seeing some price leveling out of Sol. It's the unfortunate reality for anybody trapped in position. So, guys, what else do we want to talk about today? I mean, that's we can talk about some tokens. We can talk about NFT markets in general. I mean, if you want to hedge to your downside and always take out loans, you can use Wolf Capital for the best lending aggregation. You can go straight to Sharky, straight to Citrus, whatever your preferred platform is. And, you can take out loans if you want to hedge to the downside if they do continue to bleed, which is probably prudent for a lot of people. Like, you can take those losses if you really need to, if Sol's just like absolutely ripping. But, it's a good way to have liquid Sol and be able to still make plays in DeFi while holding some sort of position in NFTs. And you can always pay those loans back. Just make sure you're managing it correctly.
Yeah, man. For me, I think, of course, it's just like I want to talk about the heist, man. I can't go a show without talking about the heist, dog. It's just like so good, man. And it's so great to see. It's one of those outliers. While even though the price of Sol is increasing, overall, man, the full price of heist is holding pretty steady, dog. Like, it ran up to 25 and now it's sitting at, I think, 22. And then Nana's still pumping. We've been preaching on RareFUD since what? The drop to 7 Sol. Like, this is it. This is the best thing you should be doing right now in the bear market. And it's come to fruition, man.
Yeah, I mean, heist is a really comfy play for me just because, look, team being on the team aside, right? And removing bias because I can do that, believe it or not, is there's a game. You can continue to play it, whether it's a bull or bear. People are still going to keep playing the game. There's Catalyst coming out with Season 2. There's a Catalyst coming out for Nano, which is our DAO pool, which is how you're going to get whitelist allocation for your DAOs to give away and everything like that. It's going to be a Nana burn. So we're going to see a lot of Nana go off the market. And then we go into Season 2. We already have pre-sales selling out left and right. I don't even think we have any more pre-sale left, but we only did like a 30% allocation, and it was the same price we're going to do for the rest. So I don't think there's going to be any disparity that I know of. It was just 120 USDC. So, we'll probably keep it there. We know what our raise is going to be and everything like that. And then just what we got in store for the game. Look, people are enjoying the game now. They're going to enjoy it a whole lot more when we unlock a lot of features. So that's a comfy hold for me.
Yeah.
The rest of them, I'm not so sure of. I don't know.
I
I
can't
mean,
think
like,
of anything on this market where I'm like, oh, I'm going to pick this up right now. Like nothing.
Yeah, the problem is people are holding a lot of these with bag bias in their hearts and realizing like they do support the community. But like if you're doing that, you have to realize you're not going to make money until you decide to sell it, right? So like you getting all upset about people buying and selling said asset, then don't hold it like you're holding it. Hold it to sell it because that's what your paradigm. I think people, I guess the root of it is people don't understand themselves enough. They don't go intra enough, right, to understand what type of person they are because if you're getting upset about floor price, SOL ripping and your NFTs are down, like you have to realize that eventually you'll sell it and the USD value will be the same, right? Because you're trying to compound SOL, that doesn't work anymore. You flip to USD maxi, right? Then you look at it's going to be the same thing, right? I just think people aren't grasping like there's certain skills and then pursuing that type of thesis in the market, like because we'll be feeling differently,
Yeah, no, I feel you on that one, dog. And I that's a great point that you make. I think some people pick up collections for the wrong reasons, or they don't have a solid thesis about why they're buying something. Everybody's happy when number goes up, but your true conviction shows when number goes down. I think when people say, oh, I'm buying into community, then get aggravated that people are selling, as you said, Joe, that's a perfect example of individuals getting mad or not understanding why they purchased that NFT in the first place. If you're purchased for community, you're not worried about the floor price. I know Manny dropped that OMB at 0.24. The floor price for OMB is at 0.24 right now. I'm not paying attention to the floor price of OMB. I literally don't care. Like, I know it's going to be fine in the long run. It can drop down to 0.1 for all I care. I'm not paying attention. Whatever, I'll live. But if I do have a project where I'm like, man, I was trying to make money on this, I would have been cut my bags a long time ago.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you have safe conviction in a play, you've done your research, you know what's going to happen, you know they have upcoming catalysts, you know what they're building towards. Like, why sell here? You already missed the sell off. Yeah, you don't want to miss like something that when we find a good footing, NFTs will probably be fine. Ordinals are probably going to be fine, and I don't think selling right here is probably prudent. Of course, your risk is your risk, your time horizon's your time horizon, but the dollar is absolutely capitulating. We are now below 100, 99.819 and counting. It is bleeding terribly. And this is coming from its June highs of 104.5 ish. When the dollar is looking this weak, it's all risk on. It is all risk on money time, right? And so you're going to go into equities, real estate, crypto. NFTs are probably going to be a sympathy play for crypto when it finds its footing. But, if it keeps capitulating like this, then you can expect the equities and crypto, the underlying asset of NFTs, probably going to keep ripping up. And that is not good for NFTs. So, just play it safe. Whatever your risk is, that's fine. We keep ripping up like this. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen. SOL seems like it wants to cool down here for a little bit. We'll see what happens. Now retracing all the way down to 25.6. So did run up to what do we hit? Almost 26. No, 26.82, almost 27. Did want to clear reject. That has been the biggest resistance point for us. Like it has. And we have not cleared 27 and held above there on the daily in ages. It's been ages. So when we do that, I'll feel much more comfortable on the weekly, but the daily would at least signal some sort of bullishness to me. Because until then, this could be just like a massive scam pump. Like you never know. But I'm not bullish until we get above 27 and we hold there, at least on the daily, ideally the weekly. And we won't know that until Sunday. So, guys, I don't know what else to talk about.
Yeah, dog. I don't know, man. It's like not really much going on besides coins pumping, NFTs kind of stagnant. We hit on DeFi. There's a lot of opportunities out there, man. I mean, I guess it's just one of those things where maybe we shouldn't try to produce content when there's no content to produce.
Yeah. I mean, just go ahead and keep an eye out for, like your Dust, Forge, Nana. If you want some NFT exposure, but more liquid and staying on the SPL side of things, you can always do that. I think the better plays are going to be something like Helium Network, which we talked about last one. By the way, up 12%. You'll love to see it. It had a massive spike up after the show, running about a 30% candle which is a huge green dildo. So I'm glad we called that early. I hope everybody got into that play. But I think this is where your attention is going to be focused. Dude, Sol Casino, holy cow.
What are they sitting at?
Up 20%. No, not the NFT. The SCS token has just ripped 20% over the past like 12 hours. So again, this is where attention is going to be focused. Look for the things that haven't pumped. Do not buy pumps. That'll be like the most alpha I can give you guys. Is like, stop buying things that have already like 20%, 3x, whatever it looks like. Buy the stuff that has good fundamentals, that has the right pump factors, but hasn't pumped yet. That's where you make money. You don't chase money. You don't chase pumps. We're still not out of the bear market in my eyes just yet. I think the conditions are there to reach us out of there. But until further notice, this is still a bear market to me. I mean, I know we're pumping right now, but 1 day of pump does not equal we're so back, you know?
People get too euphoric way too soon. I'm like, I see people on the timeline, we're so back. Dog, it's a day. Calm down. I'm happy. Don't get me wrong, but geez.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't know. I would be looking out into cryptos, Solana DeFi. That's pretty much where my attention's focused. I'll be scoping out some entries on some of the projects I want, but I'm not really like hankering for them right now. I will buy 10% higher from its lows rather than try to catch the knife. I think that is a very prudent thing to do. Please, if you are not an expert trader at catching falling knives, don't do it. Just don't do it.
I've caught plenty of knives, man. My hand's bloody, dog. You should see them. I got stitches everywhere.
Yeah, don't catch knives and don't chase pumps. Try to find something that has the right elements for a nice either drop down if you're trying to short, or a nice pump if you're trying to catch the wick. But guys, I think that about does it. Joe, you have anything else you want to share before we just sign off for the day?
No, man. Nothing at all.
Cool.
I got one thing real quick, dog. I just wanted to hit on your point about chasing pumps, man. I've had a couple viewers reach out to me and like ask me to check out their portfolio about like what they were doing wrong, or like give them some advice on like something to, improve their trading styles. And the people that I looked at, there was one common trend. They always brought the top. You know how you bite the top? Is by you seeing things on Twitter and you're like, oh man, this is probably going to go up another 3x after it already did a 4 or 5x. One thing that I use, if it's already on Twitter, you're probably too late. The existing projects that everybody are fudding into the ground might be the ones that you want to buy as long as they have sound fundamentals. We saw this with Heist. Heist launched and the exploit happened, and then they got fudded to no eternity. But in the end of the day, nothing fundamentally changed. So for me, that was a clear buy indicator to buy in when it was between that 7 to 14 range. The same thing happened with SMB when they were going through the whole drama. Geez, now that was a little bit more risky because nobody knew how that was going to play out. But I just had conviction in Nam's negotiating ability to see a successful deal through, and it panned out. So while Monkey DAO was fudded into the ground at 125 and everybody's like, it's going to zero, I'm like, I'm crazy. I talked to Joe and Bison. I'm like, guys, I'm probably crazy, but I'm buying an SMB here. Boom, brought it at 125, sell for 225. So you have to go against the flow. When everybody's hating on something, you have to know, man, is there enough fundamentals for me to pick this thing up and for it to pump in the future? And it's not easy to do.
Yeah, heard it from the man himself, Mr. Fundamental King. No, I couldn't agree more. And I think that's a great note to end on. So with that, thank you guys so much for listening to this, albeit short, major alpha RareFUD Radio episode. We will be back on Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Manny's asking if we're buying OXBT at some point. Yes.
I'm still holding.
Yeah, I still got a little bag. I think I have like 3,000 or something like that, but not really interested in selling it. I got it pretty much for free. So
yes, exactly.
Why not? I definitely want to buy more at some point. I'm just not interested in catching fallen knives, and I'll wait till I get some more news out of that camp first. But that about does it for us today on this very short episode of RareFUD Radio. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are back Tuesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yet another solo show. On Thursday, we will be having the Bad Environment folks up. So I think Light's coming from them. I would hope so, because I love talking to Light. Light's the homie. So
I would like to talk to Light. I don't want to talk to one of his minions.
Anyways, yeah, Definitely always going to be interesting. We'll have a guest next week, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. Please make sure to subscribe down below. It's free to do. Hit that bell notification to get notified anytime we do go live, anytime we do put up a video. Short form content is coming out. Thank you guys so much for watching. And we'll see you on the next episode of RareFUD Radio. Have a great rest of your day.